that sort of, do you want us to denounce I don't know, communism? Do you want us to decry global warming? Are you sort of in a Jerry Clarkson role?
Have a pop at Israel.
A pop at Israel?
Yeah, maybe be a bit edgy.
Yeah, be a bit edgy. We'd have to balance it out. We'd have to have a pop at the other lot as well.
Well, Hamas,
that's what we'll do.
The rockets would go really.
We will sit on the fence on that one, mate, because you're going to get us in all kinds of trouble. Suffice to say, there's two sides to every story. But do you need anything specific from us? You're reading the Times.
Well, we're only half listening, really, because we're both engrossed in the Times and Facebook.
Yeah.
So, if you've got anything that's, you deem particularly noteworthy or of somewhat, hilarity, if you could just sound a klaxon or something.
Right, okay.
An explosion in a Westwood style, perhaps.
Sure. I'm afraid to say the only sound effect I can produce, I think this has been left. Will that get your attention?
That will do.
Alright, listen mate, if you are busy reading away, you keep yourself abreast of proper news. If anything arises that is of interest to you, we're going to let you know. Is there any particular areas we should be on the lookout for? Anything that interests you in particular? Keep it clean.
No, anything really.
Anything.
But if it's hilarious, then that's better.
Okay, listen, if anything is approaching on the horizon that looks like it might in any way be hilarious, you're going to be the first to know, so look out for this noise.
Excellent.
Keep an ear out for that. Good luck to you. What's your girlfriend's wife's name?
Sarah.
Sarah, alright, well God bless Sarah, and she can carry on now with her intimate love affair, or online love affair, with Pepe, and you can go back to reading Murdoch's to the Times.
Alright,
listen, thank you mate for calling, getting in touch, thank you, cheers.
Cheers mate.
Good work, yes, well we're keeping him abreast. If you out there as well have anything that you particularly need from us, don't be afraid to get in touch.
Text us on 64046 or email stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk.
Yeah, it's disappointing that we only got left with Lamo's Swanee whistle and not the instrument that Westwood uses to create small explosions in the studio when something of note happens.
Any more, Harry, that I need to know about before we move on?
Well, we just had a homebrew update. Thanks for the brewing tips. My faith in the BBC is restored. Swear away.
Hey, we will do during this. Five get overexcited by the Housemartins from the album The People Who Grin Themselves to Death. You know what I've done there? I've just been unwittingly controversial, because you may recall that when that album first came out in 1987, it caused controversy because the title of the album, The People Who Grin Themselves to Death, referred to the British royal family. And it caused a stinking row in the tabloids were up in arms, and I've just opened that whole can of worms again.
We've got a stinking royal charter to do this.
I know.
Apologise.
I apologise on behalf of myself, the BBC, the Housemartins, Paul Heaton, the beautiful South, Fatboy Slim, and that other fellow who went to jail. Listen, before we get a musical choice from you, Harry.
From Owen, who's texted in, "Dear Stephen and the gang, please do not read out any more football scores, because he wants to watch the highlights later."
Good.
That's disappointing, because that's the first useful thing I've done in 2 years. Never mind.
Before we move on, I just wanted to check for any fans of the emergency tape which would kick in the event of an accident. This is what's currently being played. Oh, that seems inappropriate.
Yeah, someone's had a breakdown.
Yeah, or what? Where's your ear? If someone's had a breakdown, or if someone worse than that has been decapitated. Man alive, Dear me, if Steve Wright was to lose his head in some weird, freakish accident.
An outrage.
I just kicked him. Because it sounds like you're celebrating. Poor old Wright is losing of his head.
Yeah.
It's like a terrorist chant. Oi, Righty, where's your head?
It's like all his characters are singing back at him.
Exactly.
I'm going to listen again to this and complain. It's outrageous.
Okay, let's have a musical choice from her.
Yeah, well, a lot of listeners have said there's far too much brand new indie rock from Harry. Why doesn't he play some old stuff from the 60s? So I am today from 1967, recorded with James Brown's band. This is King Coleman with the Boo Boo Song.
A-hunting we will go, a-hunting we will go, we will...
Harry's musical choice on this week's Steve Show, what was it, Harry?
It was King Coleman with the Boo Boo Song.
Thank you very much indeed. How will people be able to find that, should they wish a copy to be in their possession?
Quite with a lot of difficulty, because I heard it at the intro to a gig that I went to, and all I could remember when I got home was boo 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 boo. So I started googling that, and it took me about 8 months eventually to find out what it was. You can get it. There's a compilation by King Coleman called "It's Dance Time," which features all of his smash hits from the 60s.
If you had actually gone up to one of the sort of people that complains on the Six Music message boards and said, yeah, I went to a gig and I heard a boo 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 boo, just about 14 emails straight away. Sorry, you're obviously referring to the Boo Boo song by King Coleman. Come on, why are you on the BBC?
BBC Six Music, Saturday evening from Six Music.
We've been on for years, and I don't think I've ever played any Steely Dan. What have we been on? 2 years? 2 years we've been on, and I've never played Steely Dan. So at long last, here's some Kid Charlemagne for you. Well, there we are at long last. I've played some much-needed Steely Dan on the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, after all these years. Apologies to all Dan fans. Not that there are many. Referring, of course, to you, Tiny Dan. What? Of course, interestingly, Kid Charlemagne, loosely inspired by the exploits of Owsley Stanley, who, aside from being a sound man for the Grateful Dead, was also one of the first people to manufacture LSD on a huge scale. But back in the late 60s, but be very careful, he did go to jail for 3 years. So
Edgy factoid.
Exactly. If you are thinking of producing any drugs on a massive scale, do remember it's illegal and highly dangerous. Stanley is still alive, and he blogs and he has a website, and he says that he believes that the natural human diet is a totally carnivorous one, and therefore he eats no carbohydrates and no vegetables, as he believes they're toxic. And he claims to have eaten almost nothing but meat, eggs and butter and cheese since 1959, and that is the reason that he's barely aged and still looks as good as he ever did. So there you are. Interesting drug, LSD, Grateful Dead, Steely Dan, vegetable-related factoid. Round of applause for that on the Steve Show. Plenty more of that, where that's come from. Before we get to delving into the pigeonhole, obviously one of the only public service things that Six Music does is when we review big new releases every week on the Steve Show. We'll do that in a second. We just really need to finally wrap up some of these final requests. Now, I did see one. Let me see, we've got it here from Tim. He says, how about some useful, light-hearted consumer advice? That's life. That way people can learn something and have their spirits raised at the same time. Sammy, You Are a Woman. That was, of course, hosted by Esther Ranson. You're the closest we've got to Esther. Any useful consumer advice?
2 bits of useful consumer advice. 1, I'm a lady who fears wearing skirts in winter because it's a bit nippy and the knees can get chilly. So today I wore a pair of tights and then a pair of leggings over the top, and my legs have never been toastier.
Really?
So that's an advice for all you ladies.
Why not
out
wearing
there.
trousers?
I just wanted to viv up the feminine vibe, because I'm starting to feel like I look like a teenage boy.
Oh, that's not true.
It's not good. My second bit of consumer advice, my father let me in on this week. Mice.
Well, that's going to be worth worth something. Let me just make a note of this.
Mice start house fires. This is true, apparently.
Mice start house fires?
Mice start house fires. I'm not allowed a pet mouse.
Right.
Because they escape from their cages, chew through cables, and set your house on fire.
Now, why is this? They light a fag, fall asleep on the couch, up it goes. Is this the problem?
I mean, I've heard of mice stealing cars, but arsons are going a bit far, apparently.
Sure.
But the other thing, don't leave your phone charger plugged in. 3rd most common cause of house fires.
Really? What are the first 2?
Mice.
Chip pans and tea lights.
Tea lights?
People leaving tea lights not on stands on top of the TV, melting through the TV, explosion, fire.
Ooh, wow, that's particularly careless, and that's the 2nd most common cause.
Tea lights, and 3rd being leaving chargers plugged in because they overheat, spark, and then they start fire.
That's really interesting, because I do leave my chargers in. I just like to try. I've got everything on standby, everything computers on, never switch off the lights. I'm just trying to make something interesting happen to the environment.
We've had an email from Pete though, Steve. We can't let this one go. Dear Steve and team, I'm trying to have a quiet, peaceful afternoon. Can you please be quiet? Stop talking and playing music. This is unacceptable. I will write a letter if you're not careful. P.S. I have no arms and cannot switch my radio off.
Oh, dearie me. I apologise. Brief respite there from our nattering. We'll play the new U2 in a second, because I'm keen to get you guys and your opinions. I did see one on there which we need to think about quite seriously. Someone said, could we perhaps put together some kind of play a big fan of plays. Here we are, yes, this is from Roxanne, currently in Birmingham, formerly from Bristol. Could you perform a short radio play, please? It's a very underused art form and something which could really enhance your show and my listening experience. We're going to need to drum up some ideas for a play. What sort of subject matter do you think that Roxanne would enjoy? So do you think something hard-hitting with an important social message?
Yeah, she'd love that. She'd love that, and she definitely wants a marital breakup or near breakup involved.
Okay.
Because she gets off on that.
Stemming from a kind of difficult childhood and kind of playing out her past in the present.
Okay, what we'll do is I think, set it in the north so that Sammy's got a starring role.
Yeah.
And my suspicion is that she is possibly a teenager. She's got herself pregnant.
Yeah.
Typical. And she's also on drugs of some kind.
Yep.
Well, maybe not the usual drugs. What's an interesting drug? What are you hooked on?
That's really hard. Gas.
Gas?
Laughing gas. That's
You're hooked on laughing gas? Okay, is that a big problem up the north? I imagine so.
It's a fairly small
Hey, what
problem,
about one of us? One of us is the father, but we don't know which.
You don't know which.
Of course.
You invite us to a desert island in Greece where, through the music of... let me think. The music of the Smiths, we express our joy unto the world. I think you're a teenager, the play is called Teenage Dirtbag. Alright? Because that's what people call you. Your name in the play is Alison. Alright? Sometimes abbreviated to Ali by your ne'er-do-well boyfriend. I'm loath to call him boyfriend. He's not really a boyfriend in any way. He's just a rotten egg. I don't even want to talk about him. But yeah, Teenage Dirtbag. Samuel will be playing a drunk and drug-fueled northern slag who's high on laughing gas, chortling and chuckling constantly. She's having a difficult decision as to whether she's going to raise the kid or give him up for adoption.
Aside from the laughing gas, this isn't the first time I've played this part.
Good. Well, we'll get back to that play and we'll give you some choice excerpts from it after we've heard the new one from U2. Your opinions, gentlemen and ladies, after you've heard it. Released on the 16th of February, that's U2 and Get On Your Boots. Steve Show, 60 Music with me, Steve Merchant, my gang of cronies here. We are delving into the pigeonhole, listening to 3 of the big new releases. You don't come much bigger than U2 by half. Dan, let's have your thoughts.
Yeah, I always worry a bit when I hear U2 come back and they're upbeat, because I wonder a bit that they're trying to prove something. They can prove that with their advancing years, they can still rock. They've still got it. That Bono is sort of just... They're going, no, I can still rock your world. Yeah, because I'm Bono, and I'm way to be 53, but I can, so I quite liked it. I quite liked it.
You enjoyed it, that's your opinion. You
yeah.
quite liked it.
Yes.
Sammy, you speak for the youth. Do the youth like the two?
Generally no. I would go with that. I think just because of what they stand for, they are very much the musical embodiment of the man for me.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I thought Bono was always fighting the man. He hates the man,
He's
Bono.
best friends with the Pope.
Yeah, but the Pope, he's trying to use the Pope, who's a man,
Edgy.
in order to benefit the world.
Did you?
Anyway, if we
He's fighting against the man.
push the politics aside,
Bono hates the man. He knows the man. He knows
doesn't
the
hate the
man.
man.
He knows the man. He works from within the man in order to subvert the man.
What are you
Get
saying?
it right?
What are you saying?
I don't know, but sounds appropriate. I'm going to put that aside now because I can see why you have them lying around. They are great fun.
I loved it. I'm not a big U2 fan. I thought that was a nice departure. I don't think they sound like old men playing a young man's song. Although my favourite boot-based song, Kinky Boots, Patrick McNee, Honor Blackman.
Thank you very much indeed. And Harry, you strike me as someone who's never really taken to Bono the Edge et al.
No, not really, and that was staggeringly horrible, really. I mean, I got a submarine, you got gasoline. This is like sixth form poetry stuff, isn't it? And Hey Sexy Boots, I don't want to talk about wars between nations. You can imagine him trying to broker peace deals and referring to the various heads of state as Hey Sexy Boots. Sure. I don't know, I just don't buy Bono.
You don't buy Bono?
I don't buy him.
Oh, bye Bono. Who? I don't know what that means. We'll have more after this.
Adam and Joe.
6 Music.
Okay, so charity albums, they come and go, but there's been one that's, I think, come out quite frequently in different forms. War Child, they put these out periodically. There's been quite a while now, quite a number of them over years. This one's called Heroes, the ultimate covers album. And as usual, the big names have recorded covers, as suggested by the original legends, Paul McCartney.